one of the things we hear a lot right now from the Republican Party, and this connects to the last segment, is protect the kids. And obviously that's disingenuous because, as we just talked about in the last segment, they're unwilling to support and then implement the proper policies that would protect kids when it comes to gun violence. And also, right now we're seeing, again, keep in mind throughout this entire segment, protect the kids as a slogan from the GOP. We're seeing in state legislatures with the support of governors across the country, child labor laws being attempted to be rolled back by Republican-led governments. And I want to update you on that. This is from courts. An Iowa law rolling back child labor protections has come into effect, a protest against the National Restaurant Association's lobbying efforts to weaken child labor regulations. And actually, let's skip forward to this. Iowa is the latest state to take aim at child labor protections, enacting one of the most significant rollbacks to date. In late May, Governor Kim Reynolds signed a law that expanded the permanent working hours and places of employment for teens as young as 14 years old. Iowa's bill, which violates federal law, according to the Department of Labor, went into effect on July 1st. The bill allows adolescents to participate in activities usually deemed inappropriate or dangerous for minors, such as serving alcohol, working in one of the state's 200 plus meatpacking plants, operating heavy machinery, or joining demolition projects, among other provisions. Many are jobs that federal law has historically prohibited to those under the age of 18. And it's not just going on in Iowa, as NPR reports. States like, you have Iowa there, of course, and the Missouri, Ohio, and Arkansas have implemented or are pushing for companies to have the ability to hire children without work permits and allow children to work longer hours under more dangerous conditions in places like construction sites, meatpacking plants, and automobile factories. The Department of Labor reported a 69% increase in the number of children, many of them undocumented migrants, employed illegally by companies since 2018. And I would put that in the not protecting kids category for sure. And again, this is Republican-led state governments. And what this kind of reminded me of was a clip we went over in the past of Arkansas's governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And we talked about, she did this interview, I'll remind you of it in a moment, on Fox News, talking about her push to ban critical race theory in Arkansas elementary schools. And on its face, it's absurd because critical race theory isn't taught in Arkansas elementary schools. It's not taught in elementary schools, period. But this was the priority of Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And this interview moment that I'll show you came from January of 2023, right after Sarah Huckabee Sanders was inaugurated. And so one of her first actions was to, in the name of protecting the kids, ban CRT, which wasn't being taught, to do something that was a complete and total virtue signal and didn't actually have any point to it. Again, because it's addressing a non-existent problem. And at the time we talked about this, we'll talk about it again after watching this clip, this is an attempt to distract from the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is not fighting for the interests of her constituents, but will throw red meat to the base with stuff like this while she's working in Arkansas, as was reported alongside Iowa, to loosen child labor laws.
You hit the ground running this week after inauguration. A number of executive orders. Some folks love them, some folks do not. Let's talk about your critics' reaction to some of these orders. One of them is called Executive Order to Prohibit Indoctrination and Critical Race Theory in Schools. The House Minority Leader there in Arkansas, a Democrat, says this: "We can't support our teachers if we alienate and insult them with headline-grabbing executive orders." She says CRT is not being taught in Arkansas schools. Axios seems to back her up. They said, reality check, there's no indication that the college-level course is taught in any Arkansas public school. So if that's true, why the executive order?
It's incredibly important that we do things to protect the students in our state. We have to make sure that we are not indoctrinating our kids and that these policies and these ideas never see the light of day.
So what'd she say there? Protecting our students. Oh, so are you making sure that schools are secure and gun laws are passed in your state to make sure kids are safe at school? No. Are you making sure that Republicans in your state don't attempt to roll back regulations that protect kids in the work environment? No. You're actually supporting those rollbacks. it's all disingenuous. It's all nonsense. And in reality, their policy positions and the policies they support and implement are the exact opposite of protecting the kids. It's so brutally and enragingly dishonest, but still people think, oh, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and all these other, Kim Reynolds, they're fighting for me because they'll do these culture war things. We're banning CRT. We're preventing your kids from being indoctrinated because we want to protect the kids. When in reality, they're not. They're actively standing in the way of good policy being implemented. And if people could become more aware of that, they could, as Larry Krasner talked about in our last segment, vote out the politicians who aren't supporting the proper policies, and we could get change finally on the issue of gun violence and make sure kids are protected when it comes to work and all these different areas. We could actually make proper change if people, the voters, could wake up to the fact that this is the reality and then change it.